with a little Republican in between, perhaps.
So in essence, what happened is that Bill and Hillary, in their mid-20s, before they ever took their marital vows, they took their political vow.
You know, a lot of people ask me, do we have to go through all these old Clinton scandals again? Well, I have good news for you. You don't, because you can look at the new ones, because Hillary Clinton's scandals are a gift that keeps on giving.
I had been vetted 6 times, my house had been prepared for a presidential sleepover, and the president allowed me to put my name on 25,000 invitations. It's impossible to think that they didn't know that I had federal convictions, which anybody that uses the internet can find within 4 clicks.
Peter Paul was basically paying for the entire event, and he was held at arm's length. He wasn't invited to the White House, and they did not really want to interact with him. And it never really dawned on me, because I really didn't understand those part of politics, how it works, that they do a vetting process.
Amazingly, the Clintons continued to solicit money from Paul, even after publicly distancing themselves from their newfound friend.
On August 24th, a fax was sent to my office on Hillary's letterhead, the Hillary Clinton for Senate letterhead, by her finance director, David Rosen, asking me to transfer $100,000 in stock. And here you have a smoking gun document, which is on her letterhead, faxed to my controller with the wiring instructions to send $100,000 worth of stock. That's illegal. When I became Hillary's biggest donor, no one made any reference to concerns about my credibility, my truthfulness, or my ability to honestly do business. You know, Hillary has no problems with me as long as I'm writing checks.
From there, the Paul case takes twists and turns no screenwriter could imagine. Stan Lee Media collapses. Paul is indicted on 2 felonies in connection with trading of Stan Lee Media stock. He's arrested in Brazil by Interpol and languishes 2.5 years in a Brazilian hellhole of a prison awaiting extradition.
She's never called me a liar, and she's never said that my allegations are false. What she has sworn to is that she can't remember some conversations that we had in detail. I'm not asking anybody to like me or to trust me or even to believe me. I'm asking people to look at the record that is undisputed and to come to their own conclusions regarding the suitability of Hillary Clinton to acquire the highest office in this country.
June 9, 2000, did you discuss with Hillary Clinton supporting her campaign in exchange for President Clinton helping you in your business concerns?
Yes.
Did Hillary Clinton pledge President Clinton's support for your business interests?
Yes.
August 13, 2000, at Barbra Streisand's home, did you talk with Hillary Clinton about supporting her campaign provided President Clinton help you with your business interests?
Yes.
I've been analyzing polygraphs since 1995. I attended the Department of Defense Polygraph Institute. I would say Mr. Paul has been truthful in his answering the questions concerning the issues administered in the polygraph.
It was the most lavish affair of all. But her campaign said that it cost $400,000, not $1.1 million, so that they could use the other $700,000 for the campaign and use it to buy advertisements. Now the question is, did Hillary know it was a mistake? Of course she did. Number one, she was there and she knew it couldn't have only cost $400,000. Number two, she frequently urged Peter Paul to hold down the expenditures for it. Number three, after the forms were filed with the FEC, Peter Paul told her they were inaccurate, and Hillary continued to file inaccurate forms. And finally, the FEC investigated it and concluded it did cost $1.1 million.
I want to thank Stan Lee and Peter Paul and Aaron Tonkin for their extraordinary hard work and leadership on this.
The Clinton campaign ultimately paid $35,000 in fines for having underreported the cost of the gala. Aaron Tonkin says both Senator Clinton and her finance director, David Rosen, knew of his illegal financing schemes, including how he reimbursed celebrities who donated to Hillary's Senate campaign.
They wrote a check where I told them to write it, the Senate 2000 from the invitation they received, and then I reimbursed them either 1 or 2,000, depending if 1 or 2 people came. I told her National Finance Director David Rosen, and he just said, "Don't tell me anything like that." And I told the FBI.
Is it possible that the senator from New York and former First Lady, the most experienced of all the candidates, was completely unaware of her finance director's dealings? Peter Paul awaits sentencing for securities fraud. He vows to spend the rest of his life trying to expose what he characterizes as Hillary's chronic pattern of corruption.
Well, I think that, like William Safire said in the New York Times, Hillary's a congenital liar. Even David Geffen, who was a supporter of hers, commented on her facility with lying. So if she can do this as publicly and in such a gross and unvarnished way, then imagine if she got additional power in the White House and what she would do with that. I can't think of any other politician in history who has shown such a disrespect and a contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law as Hillary. And I represented Richard Nixon's best friend, and I knew Richard Nixon. And I'll tell you something, she's no Richard Nixon, she's worse.
One of her great claims throughout the 90s and in her present career as senator is that she'll say, "Oh, this is all old news." Well, it's old news because the Clintons are repeat offenders. They've been doing these things going right back to the 1980s.
Now, this is something I found to be very disturbing regarding Hillary Clinton. Now, I saw this back in the 90s, yet I don't see anybody really talking about it today, and I think it's extremely relevant. The Clinton body count. Okay, yeah, a lot of people have died around the Clintons. Just so happened to be the right people that sort of knew some information about them. Now, this isn't just a bunch of conspiracy theory, okay? What we're going to go over here is the rumor or the conspiracy theory of all this evidence that was actually put forth by a lawyer. And then we're going to actually look at the actual facts surrounding the events. And what you're going to find out is actually the facts surrounding the events is just way too uncanny. Okay? Now, this is called the Clinton body count. Go through the entire list and evaluate each one. But it is true that some of them have some connection with Bill Clinton or someone who was in Clinton's sphere. And many of them died violently or by suicide, a lot of them by suicide. Okay? So, you know, the rumor, of course, sounds slightly more sinister, but actually the truth ones sound pretty bad as well. James McDougal, Clinton's convicted Whitewater partner, died of an apparent heart attack. While in solitary confinement, he was a key witness in Ken Starr's investigation. Now, he actually died in John Peter Smith's Hospital, Fort Worth, Texas. Had been serving a federal prison sentence for fraud in connection to the Whitewater land deal. At first, he claimed he was convicted, and then he admitted that he had done it. And he started cooperating with the special prosecutor, Kenneth Starr, investigation of the Clintons. He was scheduled to give a damaging testimony against the Clintons, although critics of the investigation said his testimony had previously been inconsistent and that nothing new was expected to be revealed. A prison spokesman said McDougal died of a heart attack, had been suffering from heart disease and blocked arteries. Okay, so let's go to the second one here. Mary Mahoney, a former White House intern, was murdered in July 1997 at a Starbucks coffee shop in Georgetown. The murder happened just after she was to go public with her story of sexual harassment in the White House. We know that Hillary Clinton was actually behind trying to get a lot of these women to shut up. Okay, that's something that's pretty well known. Now, that was the rumor. Okay, now here's the truth. Mary Mahoney was murdered on the 4th of July, 1997, at Starbucks near Washington, D.C. She was an assistant manager, and according to published reports, she and 2 other employees were working late at night after the coffee bar had closed. All 3 found shot to death. No money was taken. There was no sign of forced entry. In 1999, Carl Cooper was charged with the murders, 6 armed robberies, and shootings. So, okay, how many times have you heard of just like 3 people being gunned down randomly for no reason without them being robbed? It just seems a little odd, you know what I mean? Okay, so let's go to the next one here. Vince Foster, former White House counselor and colleague of Hillary Clinton at Little Rock's Rose Law Firm, died of a gunshot wound to the head, ruled a suicide. You're going to learn as we go on, there's actually a few of these shot to the head suicide ones. Okay, the truth is Vince Foster was deputy White House counsel and Clinton's lawyer. He was found dead. Fort Marcy Park, July 20th, 1993. 3 investigations into Foster's death, including one by an independent counsel, Kenneth Starr, have concluded that the death was a suicide. Critics of the investigation said Foster's death does not fit the facts of a suicide. There are a lot of unanswered questions about his death, some of the activities of the White House after his body was found, and investigations themselves. Although there are numerous theories about what may have happened to Foster and why, none of them have been proven. So that was kind of up in the air, right? Ron Brown, Secretary of Commerce, former DNC chairman, reported to have died by impact in a plane crash. There's actually a few of these plane crashes. Just a lot of people dying in plane crashes and suicides and just all around the Clintons, okay? A pathologist close to the investigation reported that there was a hole in the top of Brown's skull resembling a gunshot wound. At the time of death, Brown was being investigated, spoke publicly of his willingness to cut a deal with prosecutors. Okay, so that's the rumor, right? The truth, Brown and 34 others died on April 3rd, 1996, when the Air Force jet carrying crashed into a mountainside in Croatia. The Air Force, in a 22-volume report issued in June 1996, confirmed its initial judgment that the crash resulted from pilot errors and faulty navigation equipment. Subsequent controversy erupted, however, over autopsy photos. There is a hole in Ron Brown's skull, which investigators said is consistent with a puncture that could have been caused by debris during the crash. Investigative reporter Christopher Ruddy came forward with an article in Pittsburgh Tribune-Review in which he quoted Air Force pathologists, blah, 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 saying that the hole was perfectly round shape of a .45 caliber bullet. Man, this is kind of crazy, isn't it? Okay, well, it's just random chance, people dying in planes, you know, with perfectly circular holes in their head like it's a gunshot wound, but of course it could have just been debris from the plane. Let's not jump to conclusions, okay? Let's not jump to conclusions, alright? What's the next rumor? Victor Raiser II and Montgomery Raiser, major players in Clinton fundraising organization, died in a private plane crash in July 1992. On July 30, 1992, Victor, this is the truth part, that was the rumor. Victor and Montgomery Raiser were killed in a plane crash while on a fishing trip in Alaska. He was a Washington lawyer and described as a major player in the Clinton organization. This is kind of interesting, you know. Judge Scalia also died when he was on vacation, and he was out doing some fun stuff, and he ended up dying too. It's just kind of odd how this always happens. Investigation of the crash by the National Transportation Safety Board concluded that it was a result of pilot error. A lot of pilots making errors. Maybe the pilot had a bullet in his head, and that's why he had a pilot error. He's dead, and then he crashed. You know, I'm being very sarcastic there, but some body count lists have removed the Raisers' names because there are not any evidence that their death was a result of foul play. Okay, so that one's a little bit up in the air. Paul Tully, Democratic National Committee political director, found dead in a hotel room in Little Rock, September 1992. Now again, Judge Scalia also died in a hotel room. So, okay. Described by Clinton as a dear friend and trusted advisor. His name was spelled Tully, and he was a top strategist for Democrats working in the Clinton campaign. He died of a massive heart failure in a Little Rock motel room. Again, Scalia died of a heart attack in a hotel room as well. There has been no controversy over his death that he could find. You know, again, like I said, that could be anything. That could just be a heart attack. It could be just natural causes. People die, you know what I mean? So we can't really say anything with that one. But of course, we could conspire and conspiracy theory this one to death. But let's not do that. Let's just keep going here. E-rumor, Ed Wiley, Clinton fundraiser, found dead November 1993, deep in the woods in VA of a gunshot wound to the head. Ruled a suicide, Ed Wiley died on the same day his wife, Kathleen Wiley, claimed Bill Clinton groped her in the Oval Office in the White House. Ed Wiley was involved in several Clinton fundraising events. Now, actually, this e-rumor doesn't even sound as bad as the truth. Okay, let's listen to the truth, okay? This is pretty ridiculous. It sounds like something definitely happened on this one. According to published reports, Ed Wiley was an attorney who owed the IRS $400,000 and embezzled nearly $270,000 from one of his clients. The Wiley's financial woes were a source of stress between Ed Wiley and Kathleen Wiley. She finally demanded a plan that would bring it to the end. So they put this in the beginning to make it sound like, oh, you know, he's just stressed out. That's why he killed himself, right? But if you read the rest, it doesn't really fit. There was a stormy family meeting about it on the night of November 28, 1993, and Ed Wiley moved out of the house. The next day is when Kathleen Wiley went to the White House to see Bill Clinton about a job. She says the president assaulted her during that visit. It was later discovered that Ed Wiley had driven into the woods on the same day. His body was found by hunters on November 30th, 1993. Okay, so they had a fight, and he just, for some reason, drove out into the woods and killed himself, and she, for some reason, went to Bill Clinton to get a job, and then he groped her. It just sounds a little wacky to me. It just doesn't sound like normal stuff here. Authorities ruled this death a suicide by shotgun. There was a suicide note apologizing for financial problems. Okay, I guess you could just blame it on the financial problems, you know? Just wanted to kill himself over it. E-rumor. Jeremy Parks, head of Clinton's gubernatorial security, I think I'm saying that right, security team in Little Rock, gunned down in his car at a deserted intersection outside of Little Rock. Park's son said his father was building a dossier on Clinton. He allegedly threatened to reveal the information after he died. The files were mysteriously removed from his house. Okay, that's the rumor. Let's see what the truth is. Jerry Parks was head of security for Clinton Gore, Little Rock headquarters, 1992. September 26, 1996, he was murdered down while driving through a Little Rock intersection. A lone gunman fired 7 shots at him. This was 2 months after Vince Foster's death. Both Parks' wife and son had said that they believed Parks was murdered, that he feared for his life. His murder has never been solved. Gee, I wonder who it was. According to Jerry Parks' son, the files were on the sexual escapades of Bill Clinton. So, okay, just randomly some dude came down in the street and is like, oh, I'm going to just kill this dude. I'm going to just shoot him 7 times for no particular reason whatsoever. Has absolutely nothing to do with the Clintons, and the fact that this guy is building a dossier on all the sexual escapades of Bill Clinton has nothing to do with that, because it's so obvious that just random dudes go around shooting people 7 times in the chest while you're driving down the road. You know what I mean? Okay. If you believe that one, you're more crazy than me. Okay, let's just put it that way. According to investigative reporter Christopher Ruddy, the files that Parks had been keeping on the Clintons were taken during a burglary several weeks before Parks' death. Okay, well, gee, I wonder how that happened. Dude, who would want to steal those files? I don't know. Maybe Bill Clinton. Or maybe Hillary. You know, maybe Hillary, because a lot of people say that Hillary was the one that was really running what was going on there. Okay, I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but you tell me, what do you think? You going to just believe a bunch of bullcrap? That just for some reason some random dude just broke into their house and just stole some files, and just some other random dude just went around and gunned down a dude while he's driving down the road? Yeah, okay. I'm not the one wearing tinfoil here, okay? Homicide sergeant investigating murders for Little Rock police told New York Times Magazine writer Philip Weiss that he didn't believe the theories of Parks' son and wife, that he found no evidence for the alleged files. That money talks, man. That money talks. All right, here we go. E-rumor. James Bunch died from a gunshot suicide. It was reported that he had a black book of people which contained names of influential people who visited prostitutes in Texas and Arkansas. Bill Clinton wouldn't visit prostitutes? Come on, man. What, are you kidding me? He's an upstanding dude. Okay, the truth is we have yet to find details on this. Okay, well, we don't have any information on that one. Maybe that one's all made up. Never know, right? Okay. James Wilson was found dead in 1993 from an apparent hanging suicide. He was reported to have ties to Whitewater. Okay. Truth, he was known as John Wilson, a popular leader and political figure in Washington, D.C., area the chairman of District Columbia Council. He was found dead in 1993, May 19th. Authorities ruled Wilson's death a suicide by hanging. According to numerous articles in Washington Post, Wilson had long suffered from depression, had twice before attempted suicide. Truthiorfiction.com has found no evidence that he has had any information about the Clintons or any ties to Whitewater. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything. Okay, that might have just been added in there to make it look worse. That one could have nothing to do with anything. Okay, let's look at this one. E-rumor, Kathy Ferguson, ex-wife, Arkansas trooper Danny Ferguson, was found dead in May 1994 in her living room with a gunshot to her head. It was ruled a suicide, even though there were several packed suitcases as if she was going somewhere. Danny Ferguson was a co-defendant along with Bill Clinton in the Paula Jones lawsuit. Remember, Bill Clinton had a lot of crazy stuff going on with women back then. I'm sure some of you younger folks don't know much about this, but I'm bringing up old stuff here, right? Hillary Clinton's been around for a while. Let's just put it that way. Kathy Ferguson was a possible corroborating witness for Paula Jones. The truth is, let's see what the truth one is. Kathy Ferguson was found dead May 11, 1994, 5 days after Paula Jones filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against President Bill Clinton. She died of a gunshot wound to the head, and suicide note was found. Her ex-husband was Arkansas trooper Danny Ferguson, one of those named in the so-called Troopergate cases involving those who had been part of the Governor Clinton's security detail. He was named in Paula Jones' suit. According to an Associated Press article made 1993, she was found not in her living room, however, but the apartment of her boyfriend, Sherwood Officer Bill Shutton. The suicide note said, "I can't stay here any longer. Things will never be the same for us. I can't take that." All these people killing themselves around the Clintons. Man, maybe they're like vampires of emotions. Maybe Hillary's an emotion vampire. She just sucks all the life out of you and you just want to kill yourself, you know? Maybe that's it. Maybe Bill has that type of thing about him. E-rumor, Bill Shelton, Arkansas state trooper and fiancé of Kathy Ferguson, critical of the suicide ruling of her fiancé. He was found dead in June 1994 of a gunshot wound, also ruled a suicide at gravesite. I guess you shouldn't be critical of dead people because you might end up killing yourself as well. Okay, well, let's see what the truth is. 31-year-old Bill Shelton was a police officer in Sherwood, Arkansas, and engaged to Kathy Ferguson. It was in his apartment that she was found dead. He was one of the many of her friends who felt that Ferguson did not commit suicide, and the coroner's report was not accurate about her wound being self-inflicted. He was found a month later sprawled over her grave with a gunshot wound to his head that was similar to what the coroner had described as Ferguson's wound. Maybe he changed his mind and realized he did commit suicide, and then he wanted to do the exact same type of suicide. You know what I mean? Or it could be the same gun-wielding killer who went and killed him after he killed her. I don't know. What do you think? Let's just see. What's the next one here? E-rumor. Gandhi Paul, attorney for Clinton's friend Dan Lasseter, died by jumping out of a window of a tall building January 1994. His client was convicted drug distributor. The truth. Gandhi Ball jumped out of a window of a multi-story building and died in January 8, 1994. Police report says he was defending a man named Dan Lasseter in financial misconduct case. Lasseter was an associate of Bill Clinton's who was convicted of cocaine distribution. Okay. Who knows what happened there? That one's kind of up on the. We don't know. Okay, here's the next one. E-rumor: Florence Martin, accountant and subcontractor for the CIA, was related to Barry Seal Mena Airport drug smuggling case. He died of 3 gunshot wounds. That's the e-rumor. The truth. This is an interesting one. Many of the body count lists say Florence Martin was killed in Mabel, Texas in 1994 that Florence Martin, however, was a 69-year-old employee of a nearby convenience store and a spokesperson for the Baylor County, Texas District Attorney's Office says she had nothing to do with Bobby Seale, Mena, Arkansas, or the CIA. Well, maybe it has nothing to do with any. So that one might have been just made up. We don't know with that one. Okay. E-rumor, Suzanne Coleman reportedly had an affair with Clinton when he was an Arkansas Attorney General, died of a gunshot wound to the back of the head, ruled a suicide. That's kind of hard. Was pregnant at the time of her death. Okay, that makes lots of sense there. The Truth's still working on this one. How do you commit suicide by putting a gun to the back of your head while you're pregnant? I mean, oh my goodness, whatever. Okay, E-rumor, Paula Grover, Clinton's speech interpreter for the death from 1978 until her death, December 1992. She died in one car accident. The Truth, no evidence that there was anything criminal about her death. Okay. We don't know on that one. Just a lot of people die around the Clintons, okay? It's probably not a good idea to work for the Clintons or be around them. Let's just put it that way. E-rumor, Danny Casolaro, investigative reporter, investigating Mena Airport, Arkansas Development Finance Authority. He slit her wrists apparently in the middle of his investigation. He slit his wrists apparently in the middle. Okay, so he tried to kill himself. All right, he did kill himself. According to the E-rumor, The Truth, 44-year-old Danny Casolaro was found dead in the Sheraton Hotel in Martinsburg, West Virginia on August 10th, 1991. His wrists had been slashed. According to an October 14, 1991 People's Magazine story of his death, he had warned friends and family that his life was in danger. He said it was because of what he called the story of the century, but it was not about Bill Clinton. It was about Reagan-Bush administration, an alleged effort to delay the freeing of hostages being held at the time by Iran in order to do damage to President Jimmy Carter's re-election bid. Casolaro, however you say it, was told that as a part of the effort, drugs and weapons were being flown in and out of the airport in Mena, Arkansas. Bill Clinton was governor at the time, and there had been numerous questions about whether Clinton was in any way involved in any of the activities connected to Mena or protected those who were involved. Well, you know what? The way I look at it, I don't think too highly of the Bushes or the Clintons, so we can just let that one be. We don't know if that has anything to do with the Clintons. Okay. E-rumor, Paul Witcher, attorney investigating corruption at Mena Airport. This Mena Airport seems to come up a lot. With Casolaro, and the 1980 October surprise, was found dead on a toilet in June 22, 1993 in his Washington, D.C. apartment, had delivered a report to Janet Reno 3 weeks before his death. That's the rumor. In his report to Attorney General Reno, Janet Reno, okay, Wiltshire said that he was in grave danger and that if the information he had for the Attorney General fell in the wrong hands, there could be people silenced in the very near future. Okay, doesn't sound very good. Okay, E-rumor, John Parnell Walker, Whitewater investigator for Resolution Trust Corp., jumped to his death from his Arlington, Virginia apartment balcony. Okay, people do that all the time, right? August 15, 1993, he was investigating the Morgan Guarantee scandal. Undetermined on the truth. Okay. Which means they haven't been able to figure out enough information about it. It could be true, it could not be true. We don't know. Barbara Wise, Commerce Department staffer, worked closely. You can see there's a lot of these. How far are we down, man? This is ridiculous. Am I going to read this whole thing? This is ridiculous. Okay, you get... Well, I'm almost to the end. Maybe I should finish it. Okay. Barbara Wise, Commerce Department staffer, worked closely with Ron Brown, John Hang. Cause of death unknown. Died November 29, 1996. Her bruised new body was found locked in her office at the Department of Commerce. Wow. Obviously someone killed her, if that's the case. According to a report, WRC-TV in the Washington area, Wise's body was found in a locked office and partially nude and bruised. The crime has never been solved. There have not been any evidence that her death was related to Ron Brown or John Huang events. Okay. So that might have had something to do with it. Charles Messenger, Assistant Secretary of Commerce who gave John Huang special security clearance died shortly thereafter in a small plane crash. Another plane crash. People dying in planes, suicides, jumping from their balconies. What the hell, dude? It's only like 1 or 2 of these were from heart attack. All the rest are like freaking people jumping to their death or flying planes into the side of mountains and stuff. And we know that, by the way, planes are actually safer than cars. You'll end up getting into a car accident far more often than a plane crash, but apparently all the people around the Clintons die in plane crashes and not car accidents. So I think there was one with a car accident, right? Yeah, but it was undetermined whether it was related or not. Okay. The truth. Charles Mesmer was not killed in a small plane. Okay, so maybe this one was not even true. We had 2 above. This is the third one. Okay, was not killed in a small plane crash, but was among those killed along with Commerce Secretary Ron Brown in a crash. It was in a plane crash. Okay, it was in the same plane crash. Okay, so we have 2 birds killed with 1 stone, or 2 birds killed with the same plane crash. Okay, so there's 2 plane crashes, but 3 people died that were part of these, sort of related to the Clinton thing. Okay, rumor. Dr. Stanley Hurd, chairman of the National Chiropractic Healthcare Advisory Committee, died with his attorney Steve Dixon in a small plane crash. Dr. Hurd, in addition to serving on Clinton's advisory council, personally treated Clinton's mother, stepfather, and brother. Okay. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, the crash was due to an inadequate annual inspection of the airline and non-compliance with airworthiness directives by company maintenance personnel. Or some dude went and made the plane inadequate for flight. One of the two, right? There is no evidence that we can find that links the plane crash of Dr. Stanley to anything criminal. So there is 3 plane crashes. Barry Seal, drug-running pilot out of Mena, Arkansas. Death was no accident. Johnny Lawhorn Jr., mechanic, found a check made out to Bill Clinton in the trunk of the car left at his repair shop. He was found dead after his car had hit a utility pole. Several books could be written about Barry Seal. He was a danger-loving pilot who was regarded as the best-known cocaine smuggler in the 1980s. I think I heard about this guy. He did not die in a car accident. He was murdered in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He probably had a lot of people want to kill him. 1986 by 3 men with machine guns. Okay, that's the way to go. 3 men with a machine gun. That's the way to go right there. I don't think that's probably related to the Clintons there. Okay, Stanley Higgins, investigative medicine guarantee. His death was purported suicide. His report was never released. Herschel Friday, attorney and Clinton fundraiser, died March 1st, 1994 when his plane exploded. Okay. Saying that his plane exploded is misleading. According to the NTSB, it crashed, but without an explosion prior to the crash, causing the crash. Okay, so in other words, it crashed and exploded. That's 4 plane crashes. What the hell, man? Gal, don't get on planes with Clintons. Don't get on planes if you're with the Clintons in any way, shape, or form, doing work for them or anything. Okay. Rumor, Kevin Ives and Don Henry, known as the Boys on the Track case. Reports say that the boys may have stumbled upon Mena, Arkansas airport drug operation. A controversial case, the initial report death said, due to falling asleep on the railroad tracks. Okay. That could be, this whole drug smuggling one, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can really necessarily link that to the Clintons. I mean, obviously it had something to do with them potentially, but I mean, just anything tied to drug smuggling, you're going to have people wanting to kill you in any way, shape, or form anyway. So, okay, so it says a lot of people asking tough questions as though if it had something to do with Bill Clinton, but no Clinton connection has been established, especially with the boys' deaths. Most notable aspect of the event was that the authorities originally treated the boys' death as an accident. Okay. The following persons had information on the Ives Henry case. Keith Coney died with his motorcycle slammed in the back of a truck in 88. Keith McMaskill died stabbed 113 times, 88. Greggy Coffins died from a gunshot wound, 89. Jeff Rhodes, he was shot, mutilated, found burned in a trash dump in 89. That sounds like some hitman. James Millen found decapitated. What the heck? Okay, so a bunch of people died there. The following Clinton bodyguards are dead. Oh my goodness. Lots of people here. Major William S. Barclay Jr., Captain Scott J. Reynolds, Sergeant Brian Hanley, Sergeant Tim Sable, Major Jim William Roberts. I feel like I'm at the War Memorial in Washington or something here. This is ridiculous. Okay, you want to die in the line of duty? Just serve with the Clintons and be their bodyguard. I mean, that's a good way to die, it looks like. Sorry about the jokes, but I mean, seriously, man. Okay, a real example of e-rumor as it has appeared on the internet. Okay, this is an e-rumor. I remember reading this back in the 90s, and I was like, this is like very disturbing reading this. I mean, we got like these body count, man. Body count, man. Okay, so is this truth or fiction? What do you think? Do you think this is truth or fiction? I'm kind of leaning towards, like, I don't want to work for the Clintons, okay? I don't want to work for the Clintons in no freaking way. Because they'll probably end up dead in a plane crash or with a gunshot wound to the head. One of the two, if you cross them in any way, shape, or form.